Hi, I'm Bill from CJ Pony Parts. I've been going back and forth for a few days trying to figure out what the first major modification be to our new Focus RS. Kind of originally was going to do a tune on the car and then decided more to lean towards the exhaust system. The main reason why is I gotta admit, Ford actually got me on this car. We took it for a ride when we first got it. I was amazed how deep the exhaust was. It actually sounded really good. Well, turns out I wasn't hearing the exhaust system. I was hearing the sound Ford was pumping through the speakers. I'm not a big fan of a fake exhaust. We want to make this car sound good for real. So today we're going to install this MagnaFlow stainless steel exhaust system. This MagnaFlow catback exhaust will be a direct replacement for the factory system. It uses the original V-band style clamps. It's made of full stainless steel front to back with 3-inch mandrel-bent pipes going through a large single muffler in the rear and a set of beautiful 4.5-inch polished tips. The tips are rolled to give them a nice custom look along with having the MagnaFlow logo etched on the top. Just like the factory system, the power valve will hook up to this, making the system fully adjustable. It's going to be a lot more tone than our factory exhaust. For this installation, you'll need a lift or a jack and jack stands, 1/4-inch ratchet, 8mm socket, 3/8 ratchet, short extension, 10mm socket, 13mm socket, 16mm socket, 8mm wrench, small pry bar, exhaust hanger removal tool, sawzall, and safety glasses. Before we get started with the installation, I do want to mention you will have to cut. The factory system has to be cut in this area here to remove it from the car. Freddie's actually going to give me a hand with this. He usually handles our truck stuff, but he's a big fan of the RS and he's a turbo guy and he's been dying to work on this car, so he's going to give me a hand. Before we get busy with the cutting though, there's one step before that. The first step in the process is to disconnect the valve. You're going to have to do that to remove the exhaust. In my opinion though, also just take it off the car. That way nothing happens to it, and then we'll put it over on our MagnaFlow. What you want to do is cut it and get as close as you can to the rear suspension area. So right after this bend, it'll make it the easiest to remove the system from the car. Now with the exhaust cut, we begin the removal process. We're going to remove the flange up front here. There's one hanger in the middle to remove the mid-pipe. Clamp loose, we're going to move the hanger back here to make it easier to get the pipe off. The front pipe off to remove the rear muffler assembly is going to be 3 hangers. There's one up top here and then 2 more in the back. Now we can start installing our MagnaFlow system. We're going to start with the front pipe and the hanger. You're going to be using the factory clamp to connect to the down pipe. Okay, now we're going to take the mid-axle pipe here and feed it over. Again, put it up in the factory clamp. And then we'll connect to the front pipe using the clamp supplied by MagnaFlow. We're going to move the electronics and spring now over to the new valve. With the spring sitting like that so you can get an idea. Basically, it's going to go up into place like that. Make sure you get it in the notches. Then the controller will go on top of it. And you can get it because it'll sort of pop into place when you have it right and sit flat against this plate. Okay, now our muffler assembly is ready to go on the car. I'm gonna put the muffler up into place. This is most definitely a two-person job if you can. It is kind of a pain to hold it and get it in the hangers. We're gonna put the clamp on for the muffler to the mid pipe. Now, if this doesn't line up, if there's a heavy gap on one side, you may have to open the mid pipe, which connects to the front pipe, loosen it up, and just twist the pipe slightly until it lines up. Now that all the pipes are in place, we're going to reinstall the connection for the valve, go back through, make sure everything is tight, and your installation is finished. Now, before we take it out for a test drive, we're going to go in the trunk and we're disconnect the unit that actually powers the sound that you hear through the speakers, because we want to hear the MagnaFlow, not the fake sound from Ford. All right, the system fits nice and looks pretty good. Now let's see how it sounds. Definitely has a deeper tone than the factory system, and for once that sound's coming from the exhaust, not the speakers. It's funny, we have the MagnaFlow now. Now we have a nice legit high-end exhaust on the car, and it kind of sounds like the fake sound before. Having driven the car a few more times with the fake exhaust hooked up, yeah, it's very obvious. You can hear through the speaker, it's like, wow, it does sound good, but you're not hearing the exhaust because the factory exhaust was extremely quiet. This is way different. I mean, it's still not loud, it's not boomy or drony or anything like that, but it has kind of that deep sound that you had from the fake exhaust, but it's legit this time. I actually almost feel when driving it, now that we have the fake sound turned off, that the MagnaFlow might be a little bit quieter even. Like there's less volume inside, which definitely is not a bad thing. Now, reading up on some of the groups and the forums and stuff that are out there for the RS, a lot of people are of the same opinion that the factory system is almost too drony. When I was doing some research on the focusrs.org, they listed on there, there's a couple guys that were talking about this. The one guy is actually where I saw how to disconnect it and make the sound go away. He'd actually connected a couple of the speakers, not all of them, which made it sound better, not be as obtrusive. Me personally, though, I'd rather just hear actual exhaust tone as opposed to fake. But here are our highway speeds, just cruising along with the MagnaFlow system, and happy to say, it doesn't drone. It really is very quiet at highway speeds. I mean, you really don't even know it's back there. And you downshift, go through the RPMs, and obviously when you accelerate, you hear it. But yeah, at the highway, it pretty much goes away. Sounds good through the whole RPM band. Like I said, it never gets overly loud, it never gets real intrusive in the cabin, but it's got a nice tone to it. Yeah, even trying to cruise it at $2,000, keep it consistent there, where you would get your normal drone, there's none at all. The MagnaFlow exhaust fits well, looks really good on the car, and sounds like it actually should. Now we're going to hear the exhaust, not the crappy sound through the speakers. The installation is pretty straightforward, taking no more than about 2 hours, and be back on the road in no time.